Good afternoon, class. Today what we're going to be working on is sight size. So the principles behind sight size are easier in many respects to learn how to see and critique your own work. The reason behind this is that we are able to create a drawing or a painting or a sculpture that is a one-to-one relationship. So the height that you see the master will be the height of your drawing, painting, or sculpture. And the same is true with the width. So whatever the width is on the master, you will translate that information. The key components to sight size is that you keep the same perspective throughout the entire piece, meaning that you cannot move your chin up or down. In order to accomplish that, we use what is called a plumb line. So basically your line will transverse the master copy onto your piece of paper, and that will set you up. And I will demonstrate this process here. I'm going to use one of my old demos in order to create the block-in stage. It's going to be a very general block-in stage, but you'll get the mechanics behind it. And I'll discuss each step as I'm going along. Great, let's get started. So we're going to start the sight size demonstration. I'm going to have my back towards you, unfortunately, but this will be the only way that we can make sure that you can see both the master and what I'm doing. Okay, so the first thing that we would do, and of course what you're going to do at home, is you're going to set up your drawing board in a vertical manner, meaning that it is 90 degrees. The reason for that is that we don't want to create any distortions. If you don't have an easel, what I would recommend is where the handle is, you put 2 nails in the wall and hang your board horizontally. That way you can have a vertical mark. If you have a smooth wall, then I would recommend just taping the master copy and your paper to the wall, and that will give you a vertical surface. You can see I have the master copy on the left side because I am right-handed. If you are left-handed, the master copy will be on the right side. You can also see that I've taped my drawing paper pretty close to the master copy. That way I don't have so far to go. And I've also taped my paper to the master copy in case the drawing, I have to take it off the board or whatnot, I won't lose the registration. Both very important points. Now, when you're working from life, your drawing paper will be registered all the way to the left if you are right-handed. And ideally, you will stand probably 3 to 6 feet apart depending on the size of your drawing. So right now, because we're doing a master copy, we can stand pretty close. I would recommend standing about arm's length away. That way you can also get a bit of distance from your drawing. Okay, so first step, I'm going to create my horizontal line, the top line, which in cross triangulation will be your top plus. In this case, we don't need to use a plus sign. I do want to also make sure that I am placing it on the page in an aesthetically pleasing manner. So having a bit of space at the top and a bit of space at the bottom, and also thinking about the placement on the page. Now, the great thing about sight size is that you don't have to worry so much about the proportions as long as you keep your chin level. Okay, so I have now my top line. I'm going to create that line. I'm going to confirm for accuracy. Then I'm going to go right into, in this case, I'm going to, the standing foot is the norm that we'd want to use. I want to make sure that my plumb line is 0 degrees, so I don't create a distortion, and I always want to check for accuracy. It's very important that you check for accuracy. Okay, that looks pretty good. Normally I would start the drawing with an HB pencil, but I am starting it with a 4B just so you guys can see the line a little bit better. Now, in sight size, what we want to do is start creating good habits. So when you're working from life, you're going to start the drawing at the ankle. And the reason for that is that it bypasses a lot of the twists and turns that we have on the foot. One, two, it gives us one of the most stable markers in the drawing because the feet are taped off usually on the model stand. So those are always going to go back in the same place. Because they're seated on the ground, they're going to be less affected by gravity. The head, you'll notice when we're drawing from life, moves quite a bit, especially as the pose takes on hour number 2, hour number 3, hour number 4. So the model settles into the pose, and just to keep the blood flowing, the model has to move a little bit. So we want to start at the bottom in order to minimize that. So I am going to start at the bottom because I want to kind of create the same kind of scenario that I would if I was drawing from life. So I'm going to place my top line up, make sure that I am creating the correct chin level. And again, this is not so important at this stage because we are right next to the master copy. Drag it down. Okay, that looks good. I want to make sure that my plumb line is always 0 degrees, not at an angle, never at an angle, always 0 degrees, even when we're measuring. Okay, so I have my first marker. Now I'm going to go ahead and go all the way up to the great trochanter. Or, yeah, it looks like a great trochanter. So I'm going to go here and drop it down, making sure that my plumb line is level. Once I have that marker in there, I'm going to check for accuracy. Okay, that looks good. And once I have that, now I'm going to find the angle. Actually, I'll do it with the plumb line. So it intersects here. And here, I want to put a marker. I should have done that first. I'm going to go back. Again, check for accuracy. You might have to do it a few times. Okay, that looks good. Once I have that, I'm going to connect the two. Don't worry so much if you don't do a perfectly straight line. You'll get used to it. Remember, 80% of drawing is erasing. And again, this is just a general block-in. One coordinate will yield 2 lines, okay? So I'm already almost halfway up the drawing. So, and what I'm creating now is called a truth line. So this line is like my y-axis on a graph, right? So normally when we start size, we use what is called a Cartesian graph. This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. So right now our plumb line serves as our x-axis, and this is going to serve as our y-axis and is considered our truth line. And that's what we'll use to measure off of the form. Okay. Good. Once I have that, I want to always check for accuracy. Okay, good. So I'm just going to tape this piece down because I noticed that every time I go over that section, the plumb line bows a little bit. So I'm just going to fix that. Okay, good. So once I have that, I'm going to place my pencil to find the angle. The angle here, like so, like so. I'm going to check for accuracy. Again, get used to checking for accuracy. It's just better to make it a habit than to try to figure out one of the mistakes. You can see that I'm making the horizontal line a little bit longer than probably what I need to make it, but this gives me an ability to find the angle and where it's intersecting. So it's intersecting, and I'm guessing a lot of times I'm trying to get it as close to the edge as possible. Okay. Okay, so far so good. So
Next.
So it's saying it's here. Erase that mistake over there. The distance from here to here looks a little funky, but I'm just gonna go with it. Gonna go back, check. Okay, good. And now I'm gonna drop it all the way down, making sure that it's plumb. Here, top line, drag it down. Okay, looks good. And I'm gonna literally measure from here to here, here to here, wherever it intersects is the answer, and connect the two. Now, I'm just gonna actually measure here and just see if it adds up. So you can see that it looks like it's a little wider. So I'm just gonna check this angle here. That looks good. That looks good. So I'm gonna go back and check and make sure that I didn't make a mistake. Oh, and I made a mistake. It should have gone in, and you can see that it looks like it's just the same amount of distance that I made a mistake in. Let's see that angle. That angle, it looks like it's adding up. So again, the importance of checking for accuracy. I would not want to draw this in and then start putting in the detail and then find out that the actual width is not correct. So it really pays to check for accuracy. So now I have my height to width relationship here. My chest cavity is somewhere here, like so. My projection of my arm is doing something like so. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get where the two legs meet. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and get this V here. Check for accuracy. So you can see in more or less, I would say you want to make sure that you accomplish this goal in about 40 minutes to an hour, maybe an hour and a half, you know, once you get used to it, you should be able to go relatively fast, especially when you're doing it from a master copy. So from here, belly button looks like it's right here. Very good. I can see the form now. I want to make sure that I check. measure to the top of the heel of the other side. Looks like it's going to be somewhere there. Let's bring this in just a little bit. Just going to make sure that it's good. So it says here that I can go to the other foot to there. So it's going to be there. And then it's going to come in. And this one here looks like doing something like this. I just want to make sure, see that width is too wide, it should be here. I'm going to adjust that. Extend this. Okay, good. So Achilles heel. About here. Okay, to the calf. Keep in mind that this is called the general block-in. So everything here is going to be revisited. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and make a literal measurement. Okay, that's pretty good. It's going up to here. Good. I do want to make a measurement from here to here. Okay, that's great. Let's clean up that line so we only have one line. Okay, and then from here we're going to have a projection here. Okay, very good. And then we're going to have another projection going this way. And you can see now as well where side size could be very, it's very beneficial because look how fast things are going. Everything's in proportion. 1, 2, you can also see how you can use cross triangulation to solve some of the problems here as well. So just keep in mind that you're not limited to any one thing. Okay, good. And this is going out to about here. Good. And then I have an angle going this way, that way. Very nice. The distance from heel to toe is going to be here. Slight elevation there. And then here, the width is going to be good. And we have the tendon here. Let's make sure that the shift is correct. And now we have basically a straight shot, and it should line up perfectly with the knee, like so, like so. Very nice. Okay, so we have the hand. And again, I'm going to measure. In this case here, let's measure from here to here, here to here. Erase the excess. Let's get the elbow. Here. You can see the hand is very gentle. Okay, the distance out to where this thumb is going to be. Like so. The distance to the knuckle looks like we're right on that tape. Take that tape off. Actually, I'm just going to move to the neck. So from here, now let's go to the chin. Chin is here. Let's just confirm that distance from here to here looks great. I'm going to go ahead and connect this here. Okay, looks like it's here. I'm just going to measure to make sure that that distance is correct. Good. I have a projection. Actually, I'm going to go all the way up. So, the distance from here to here, and the distance from here to here. And then again, I'm going to go all the way up. I have a projection. Okay, that's good. Ear. I think that ear is maybe a little low, but I'm just going to one side of ear to the other side. This one's a little bit lower. Okay. To nose, to brow, to almost the top of the head. Looks like this is a little tall. So So this was a little bit too tall. Just doesn't look right. You know, usually the head's broken up into thirds. And that looks more in proportion. So 1, 2, 3. This is bald, you know, it's gonna go up a little bit more. This flares out to about here, comes in, I think I made this a little bit too wide. Yep. Again, don't worry so much about these little things. You catch it, great, but you're going to refine everything. So, like so. Let's catch this wrist here. It's going to be more or less somewhere here. And we can go ahead and measure from here to here. That looks good. And then from here, we have a projection like so. There's an angle here from here to here. Okay, so about here. And then this connects that. This here, here, here. Okay.